Listen up. What I'm about to tell you is a jaw-dropping, twisted true crime saga that you won't believe until you hear it. This isn't a story wrapped in fancy titles or chapter headings. It's a raw, unfiltered account of one woman's life spiraling into scandal, deceit, and murder. I'm talking about Dolly Oesterreich, a woman who transformed a mundane, loveless existence into a labyrinth of secret passions, deadly choices, and a mystery that still leaves investigators scratching their heads today. Now, let me take you back. Dolly wasn't always known by that name. Born Walburga Korschel in 1880 to German immigrant parents in Milwaukee, she grew up in a world where life was tough and every day meant survival. As a bright, determined girl working in a textile mill, she quickly learned that charm and wit could open doors. And open doors they did, because at just 17, she caught the eye of Fred William Oesterreich, a wealthy industrialist whose fortune came from making aprons and kitchen appliances. They married young, and on paper, it looked like she'd landed the perfect life. But don't be fooled. The reality behind those closed doors was anything but perfect. Fred was a hard-nosed, work-obsessed man, completely consumed by his business. He was strict, distant, and rarely offered the warmth or affection Dolly craved. Instead, she found herself trapped in a loveless marriage, a gilded cage of routine and neglect. And while Fred buried himself in work and maintained a stern presence, Dolly began to realize that the life she was living wasn't enough. She craved excitement, passion, and a sense of freedom that could shatter the monotony of her days. Fast forward to 1913, Dolly is now 33 and ready to rewrite her story. That's when she meets Otto Sanhuber, a 17-year-old sewing machine repairman employed by her husband. Picture this. Most folks would barely notice a shy, quiet kid like Otto, but not Dolly. She saw in him an escape from the drudgery of her life, a spark of forbidden passion that set her heart racing. And to cover up what was clearly more than just a passing fancy, she concocted an outrageous story. Otto was nothing more than her vagabond half-brother. Outlandish? Absolutely, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Hey, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. And here's where the unbelievable twist comes in. Dolly didn't settle for secret glances in the corner of a room or furtive meetings in shadowy corners. No, she pulled off something that sounds straight out of a movie. She convinced Otto to move into the attic of her own home. Yes, you heard that right. A young man, barely out of his teens, was set up in a hidden space with nothing but a cot, some food, a lamp, books, and even writing materials so he could scribble his thoughts in solitude. By day, he kept busy with household chores like an unseen servant. By night, he secluded himself away in silence, his only company the scratch of his typewriter as he penned science fiction stories that Dolly would even mail to publishers. It was secret. It was scandalous, and it was as surreal as it gets. Then, in 1918, the entire family uproots and moves to Los Angeles, a city of glamour, grit, and secrets. But Dolly isn't about to let her hidden romance fade into the background. With a determination that borders on obsession, she makes one non-negotiable demand. Their new home must have an attic. In Los Angeles, attics are nearly mythical, rarer than a cool breeze on a scorching day, but Dolly wouldn't settle for anything less. And true to form, Otto reappears in this new setting, lurking in the shadows of the new house, ready to resume his clandestine role in her life. Now, here's the moment that changes everything. On the fateful night of August 22, 1922, tensions that had been simmering for years finally reach a boiling point. Imagine the scene. Fred, already a volatile mix of drunken anger and stubborn obliviousness, erupts into a vicious argument with Dolly. The house vibrates with shouts, crashes, and raw, unbridled fury. Up in the attic, Otto hears every anguished cry, every sound of chaos unfolding below. In that split second, driven by a desperate need to protect the only person who had ever made him feel something real, he makes a decision that will alter the course of all their lives. Armed with not one, but two .25 caliber pistols, because in that moment there's no room for second guesses, Otto bolts down from his hidden refuge into the thick of the storm. There's no drawn-out fight. It's a flash of brutal action. In the chaos of a raw, unfiltered struggle, Otto fires his guns. 2 shots, one ripping through Fred's chest and another sealing his fate by striking his head. In an instant, Fred is dead. And just like that, the life that Dolly once knew is obliterated. But the story doesn't stop at the gunshots. Immediately following the fatal encounter, Dolly and Otto spring into action with a cover-up that's as audacious as it is baffling. Dolly, ever quick on her feet, gathers all the cash from the bedroom and even snatches Fred's prized diamond-studded watch, staging the scene to mimic a botched robbery. And here's a moment that defies logic. A moment that will haunt anyone who hears it. Otto, in a frenzy of confusion, or perhaps calculated misdirection, locks Dolly inside her very own bedroom closet and hurls the key into the living room. Can you imagine being trapped in your own closet while your house is being ransacked? It's a move so outlandish that it leaves everyone, neighbors, police, even the audience, speechless. When the commotion finally subsides and the neighbors dial the police, the scene that greets the officers is nothing short of a mystery. A woman locked in a closet, a house with contradictory clues, and an attic secret that no one can quite piece together. The authorities are baffled, trying to connect the dots of a case that seems designed to leave them with more questions than answers. Even after that fateful night, the drama only intensifies. Otto, the secret lover hidden away in the attic, remains in that isolated space for another 8 long years. His only companion, the incessant clack of his typewriter as he pours out his inner turmoil and dreams in solitude. Meanwhile, Dolly isn't content with a single scandal. She dives headfirst into another illicit affair, this time with her personal attorney, Herman Shapiro, who is brought in to manage the fallout of Fred's death and the ensuing estate chaos. And as if that weren't enough, whispers and rumors begin to swirl. A former lover eventually steps forward with damning evidence, revealing that Dolly had kept Otto hidden away in the attic for over a decade. The city is abuzz. The media can't stop talking about this twisted, labyrinthine web of deceit. As the investigation ramps up, the police slowly start to piece together the bizarre puzzle. They recover the pistols, a grim reminder of that chaotic night, with one weapon found under surreal circumstances involving a tar pit disposal, thanks to a film producer who got swept up in the madness, and another that ends up buried under a rose bush by a concerned neighbor. Even with these tangible clues, the case against Dolly remains maddeningly unsolvable. Her trial ends with a hung jury. Jurors seem inclined to let her off the hook, while Otto is convicted of manslaughter. And here's the final, astonishing twist. Due to a bizarre legal technicality, the statute of limitations for manslaughter had expired. Otto escapes any further punishment. Changing his name to Walter Klein, he eventually vanishes into obscurity, slipping away to Canada, getting married, and leaving the sordid past behind like a bad dream. So, what's the final word on Dolly? Despite being at the center of one of Los Angeles' most scandalous and convoluted cases, she manages to walk away free. After all the chaos, she remarries just 2 weeks before her death in 1961 at the age of 80, leaving behind a multi-million-dollar estate and a legacy so controversial that it continues to captivate true crime enthusiasts to this very day. There you have it, a twisted, electrifying saga of secret passions, hidden lives, and a murder so audacious it defies belief. This isn't a neatly wrapped tale. It's a raw, uncut look at how one woman's quest for excitement turned her world upside down, leaving behind a mystery that still haunts the corridors of history. Remember, sometimes the truth is more twisted and dangerous than anything you could ever imagine, and this story is living proof of that. Thanks for tuning in to Talescape. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories where ambition meets chaos, and sometimes history.